So in today's stream, I want to build an HTTP server using both the TCP library and mostly documentation from sites all around without following tutorials. Oh yeah, projects that I won't build without following tutorials. This is one of the ones I want to try. At least try. Yes. No, I don't even that's audible. Well, anyways, this is what I am doing. Yeah, just type in Hypertext Transfer Protocol is a stateless application level protocol for distributed collaborative hypertext information systems. This document describes the architecture of it. So, as I got to here before the stream, and this is where I want to start from. Yeah. So from what I can tell, it's a normal, it's a TCP server, and the client sends a request using this as the payload, and the server responds with this. And if I'm going by what I understand, it should work like this. But now that part is where I have to start working on. Because what this need is a TCP server. The TCP server is what I'm implementing. I'm not going to implement the client. From here, I can at least get a UDP server, and from how it works, from how the protocols and others works. Yeah, this sock.dgram is the datagram sockets, and if I'm doing TCP, it's supposed to be stream, sock stream. And that should work in theory, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to at least try that out first. Let me start with the UDP server. Then this is where I'll be doing most stuff. Okay, so at least covered that. I'll have to get an example of how the TCP server looks. Well, how can I find out without searching for the tutorial now? Oh, there are examples here, sir. There are examples here. Examples. But this is the UDP server. This is where it's taking me to. Following program demonstrates the use of get ADDR info, guys, and free ADDR info, get name info. The programs are Echo Server and client for UDP datagrams. That is as far as I can tell. Hmm. So this is the client. These are still built using datagrams. Datagram. If I check for an example on the internet, does that count as a tutorial? Uh, I should be able to do this actually. Oh, so this works. I'm sure it's okay. So yeah, we are creating a connection between client and server using TCP, and it has a few functionalities like this, like if you function, if you are create, if you are creating a connection between client and server using TCP, it has a few functionalities like TCP is suited for applications that require high reliability and transmission time relatively less critical. These are like this. TCP or energy data packaging are simplified. The absolute guarantee design TCP handles reliability congestion control. It also does error checking, error recovery, error notes packages are transmitted from source and destination. So this is what I'm looking for. And the way it works is using creates to create the socket, using bind to bind the socket to the server address, using listen to put the server, using listen to put the server socket in passive mode, where it waits for clients to approach the server to make a connection, using accept to accept. Okay. Oh. Using accept. Using accept. At this point, connection is established between the client and server, and they are ready to transfer data. So this will now be to the back. The client creates a socket and create it. Oh, here just start by copying this part. So please we created binary list name accept client and the server printout going to be okay, yes. So just go back. That's a need to back. Okay. So this is where I'm like, yes. Let me see. Let me try open see if it is available there. And it is available here too. Let me be sure it's working like this first. So this is where I'm having this issue. Using int to burn without this, you can send these kind of return pointer. Converts between pointers to integers, integer type with different sign. Only looks like relatively easy fix. Move into the mode, hitting. Let me just be sure. I'll create a server to I'll create a server to see if it's working. Yeah, I'll create a client. We yes, so it responds in the way it says in that paper. You see, get HTTP this, host is this, user agents, accept. So if it responds in the way it allows it to, it should work. Now that means I have to modify. First, I have to modify the server to do just that. Yeah. Usually this is going to be one of these or something, but I don't know. I haven't even checked out this thing out. This is the main function. SockFD and SockFD and ConnFD on server address. To build on top of that, I don't really need to go into how much that is. It only runs this once. In and in this set back to step 3. So it listens for a client, accepts the connection, and it accepts the connection and then establishes it between the server and the client. So they're ready to send and receive data. Okay. So so that means in here. This is for the back and forth between the client and the server. And it does the chats between from client to client. So this one was printing the text I was writing. There's in buffers here, read from connection. Connection is from four. That is this from the accept. So accept connection. What it does is to accept the connection. Really enjoying that. So what this does was to we just accept was closer to the end. So that means this one was accepting the connection for this ConnFD and listen is here. Hmm. No, that means yeah, you make the for loop in. What is CL? Size of CLI. Hold on, I'll check that. I'll check out that one. Yeah. Okay, this CLI is from sock add ADDR in socket address in which only it's used. Wait, this is the size of the. This is the size of it. Okay, from what I'm seeing, this socket, if the socket, this is the socket connection. Yeah, and this is the CLI. Yeah, from socket address, and that's put in here. Checks index. Check if the accept was successful. In exit. So let me see. I'll make the I'll make the for loop, a while loop inside the. I'll make the for. What I'll do is make a while loop that does this in here. What I want to do first is to create a separate branch where I'll actually put this in, so it doesn't affect the main branch, and I can easily revert back to it if I screw up something. Let's see. Git main. Ignore me. I don't know if this will also affect the main. Okay, it doesn't. Just only the build file, not the main file. Well, let's see. Git ignore, make file, and see. Okay, yeah, this is all I need to save. Okay. Where I'm in the branch now, and now I can just add while loop here to see it working. Okay, so this is where this is where I should add while loop. So from what I'm seeing into this, I mean, from this explanation, the server socket is in passive mode. This is where it waits for clients to approach the server and make a connection. Using accept, at this point, connection is established between the client and server, and you're ready to transfer data. That means by the time you hit accept, the connection is already established. Or after this, the connection is going to be established. Let me see from the if statements. Okay. So from the if statements that was here, the server starts listening at this point. We should assume it is just ready to listen for. So let me put it here. See if this makes more sense. So it accepts the connection here. But can it handle multiple servers at the same time? Can you handle multiple clients at the same time? This is the chatting between the server and clients. What I want to do is to make a single. I think this is explain. It's looking like it works. Send the buffer to the clients. Max of 80 buffer. This is buffer size. Infinite loop for charts. So if I'm seeing this chart, that means it works closer to how the web socket does rather than an HTTP server. Except if it means I should make it a connection per a connection per data. Let me go back to the paper to take a look at that. Okay, so from this paper, cache is a machine, origin server, Google connections, clients and servers. HTTP is a client server protocol that operates over reliable transport to session layer connection. An HTTP client is a program that establishes connection to the server for the purpose of sending one or more HTTP requests. An HTTP server is a program that accepts connections in order to service HTTP requests by sending HTTP responses. These are just definitions. The server must not assume that two requests on the same connection are from the same user agent, unless the connection is secured and specific to that agent. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. I don't know. I don't know if this is done on this same connection or if they are done separately. No, I know these two will be this two will be on the same connection. This is server sends to clients, client response, server responds to the clients. But I don't know if multiple requests get handled by the same TCP connection. Let me see what this does. Okay, so there's still no explanation on how that works. Anyways, so what I'm working on now, what am I working on? Yeah, it's Canonical, but bang. Yeah, now back to the Act 1 case. So I don't know which case works. Let's see. Yeah, this is the back and forth for connection. Let me not use an infinite loop this time and just do a single loop. And GC3 now works for that. So I think I should create two profiles. Really look at that. 1024 bytes here. Read route and close. What does P0 do? So this just initializes everything to 0. And back to these. So this just says the two back to zeros and still numbers. Okay, so message to the bottom. So let me see. This reads the message from the client. It prints out the client's data. It prints out the data from the client. Since all buffers already set. And, copy the message to the client to the but Yeah, let me copy back from the research paper. Okay, let me try the example response from the research paper. Concepts, cache. Okay, so this is a response from the research paper. And what I can do with that is insert here and variables about time. To the end and down Q. Minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me just do it 7 more times here. So this is 7. And go back to so 7 more times. Okay. And this. Also this. And this too. Okay. So let me use that from clearing 23. Okay. So let's syntax is equal. Okay, so I believe this should work now. Hold on. 70. Plus like 45. I believe this should solve the problem now. Server listening. Okay, so it responds. Let me check. Okay, so it works. Oh yeah, that was actually the HTTP server works, and it doesn't need two different responses. Yeah, it's just not what we think. So text plain works. Server is this HTTP 1.1. Yes.